So Tomás, thanks very much for coming on. How have you been keeping the last 2, 3 months with all the lockdown stuff going on?
Grand, Dara. It's the same for everyone. It was very strange at the start. I'm a teacher, so I was teaching away in the morning, teaching away in the evening. Well, I wouldn't call it teaching. Like, you can do as much as you can. It's very hard to do one-on-one, but every it's after 10 now, and I'll be going on later on to do another session with them online through Zoom, and I hadn't heard of Zoom before the lockdown, but I know all about it now. But I was in charge of a minor team in Cork, Glanmire, and that's all cancelled, and the fear involved with the Sunday game, and I thought that was gone. And it was just not being able to travel back to Kerry, not being able to go home. Just was scary, really. But it's like everything else. Everybody got into a routine. The kids got into a routine. I got into a routine at work. I kind of accepted that there'd be no championship. I accepted there'd be no work in that regard, and I enjoyed that work. But the fact that it's back, not perfect, but it's back. Geez, you'd have to be excited about it. You'd have to be kind of buzzing about it. I know there's all sorts of trouble and talk between what's happening between the inter-county and the club, but look, it's back, and I just think that the older generation, the lads that are at home there that maybe aren't working, that are genuinely afraid to go out. There's a generation there that really miss the live stuff, miss going to matches, and I'd be more excited for the likes of them than I would even for myself, and I think it's important that we do get back. And I think there's the age you're in with social media and with access to everything. Everybody has an opinion, and it kind of pisses you off, because Jesus Christ, we just let it go? Like, can we just let the clubs get back? And look, I think that the county boards, what's happening with the county boards, it's obvious as hell as inter-county managers are demanding that club competitions be run off early. And that is annoying. It's very annoying, actually. And I suppose, look, the GA has always said the county boards run their own competitions their own way. And if you have an inter-county manager that's able to dominate a county board, then you're going to have issues.
Yeah, I even think I saw, was it yesterday or the day before, that the Wexford Senior Hurling Championship is finished within 3 or 4 weeks, and it just throws up more problems. Other counties be finishing at the end of September. It nearly should just, all the finals should be working in similar dates.
Yeah, well, some counties are bigger than others. Some counties have the dual stuff comes in a lot more. I know Cork is crazy in terms of there's players involved in both, and it's kind of impossible. But I presume that when the county championship is over, for example, in Kerry, you have county leagues, you have local championships that they can play on. But they're not. The big thing is that they're not going to have their inter-county players, and that's what the issue is. And inter-county teams aren't supposed to train until the middle of September, and they're not covered with insurance until the middle of September, but you could be guaranteed that inter-county teams are training away. It's just, they are like, and I mean, clubs, and it will come out, because I think there's an anger within clubs. It'll come out that they're not getting access to their players as they're training away, and look, it'll be the end of the month that club players will go back training, and it'll be interesting to see what inter-county players they have regularly at their training sessions at the end of June. And look, even that is a different ballgame. Like, geez, I'm talking with liaising with club chairman and our own management team, and even going back to training, like what's involved in going back to training.
Yeah,
it's huge. Like, it's massive altogether, and the effort that you go in, and every session that takes an hour is going to take 2 hours now, because of the preparation before and after, and the safety stuff and the safety measures that will be taken into account, and the health measurements. So look, it is what it is, and I suppose, look, at the end of the day, if we were given the choice a month ago, this is the way it's be. You take it off with both hands, like, and I think it's absolutely great we're back. It's great for the young fellas, especially. Geez, 18 years of age, and they're not knowing what's going on with leaving stress, they're not knowing what's going on with exams, they're not mixed with each other, and then you look, it is. I think it's good for the body and good for the mind that they are able to join up again together.
Yeah, we'll move on to yourself. You came into the Kerry setup in '97. How did that all come about?
Yeah, I was. I wasn't, and my parents wouldn't allow me. And Paulie was manager. We lived across the road. He was 100 yards away from me. I was seeing him every day, and we were talking and chatting. And the dream was to be on the Kerry team. And I had done minors. I had been with the under 21s and going well. And Paulie was always picking at me, saying that he wanted to bring me into the seniors. I thought he was half messing, but my parents wouldn't let me go anyway. I kept asking my parents, and they wouldn't let me go until my leaving circle was done. So when my leaving circle was done, the actual exam sat, I went in for a couple of trials, and I actually made the squad that year in '97. And I was sitting down in the All-Ireland. I was number 24 in the All-Ireland '97. And it was brilliant to be inside the fence, because I knew I wasn't really going to be coming in. You know, there was 3 or 4 fellas ahead of me in the pecking order, and I could actually sit down and relax. You know, I wasn't killed with nerves. It was a big time for Kerry, because they hadn't won an All-Ireland since '86. It was '97, and that was like a ham in Kerry, and it was a huge, big deal. Like, you know, my brother was playing, Paddy was manager, and it was a massive, massive day. And Maurice Fitz gave a performance I haven't seen, or I don't think I'll ever see again, the same day. So yeah, '97 was the first time I was inside the squad.
Was it daunting at all going in? Because I suppose you would have been looking through the years watching these lads play, and now you're suddenly training and playing with them.
Yeah, it was fierce daunting. Like, I was, and also it was because Paddy was manager, and you'd have these thoughts running through your head that the lads would think that you're brought in just because you're Paddy's nephew or whatever. Like, so I was under no illusions that I'd have to stamp down and have to prove and have to show everybody that I was good enough to be in there. But it was, yeah. Geez, you're walking into a dressing room with the likes of Liam Flaherty and Eamon Breen, Maurice Fitzgerald, even the younger lads, the 21s of '95 and '96 that would have won, you know, the Dennis Dwyers, and I'd have known the 2 Daras, Barry O'Shea. Like, they're all, these fellas were, geez, like, when I say that I lived, breathed football, I knew everything about everybody. And Declan O'Keefe, it was like Johnny Crowley. Oh no, it's the whole setup. Like, it was a different setup. Like, county back then wasn't like it is now, but at the same time, it was well ahead of what I was used to, and it was the pinnacle. Like, and Christ, it was massive. Like, and there was Paddy had some way with players, so that the atmosphere in the camp was unreal. It was second to none. Like, and it was knockout back then as well. So every game was like your last, and that fear was constantly there. But it was great. Geez, I used to get a buzz. Like, so you'd be in there, and the training was hard. I was a young fella, I was mad for it, and the matches at night were very, very tough. Like, my old fella was always worried, like, because I hadn't fully developed. I was only a garçon, and you're in there with the best in Kerry, like, and geez, it was a great buzz. Like, so you'd be travelling over a party and back in the evening, and I loved it. I had reached heaven. Like, that was my goal from being a young fella, and to be there. I suppose in a way, to be there, we had it fulfilled, but then you had to back it up, and the backing it up took a long time. Like, you know.
Yeah, and then winning the All Ireland in 2000 after replay against Galway, is the pressure building every year in Kerry that if you don't win the All Ireland, it's almost seen as a failure back then?
Oh, it would be, yeah. Like, there's no doubt. Like, if you don't win an All Ireland, and even now to this day, it would be a failure, and would be seen as being a failure by everybody, by most people actually. And back then was no different. '98 Kildare beat Kerry. '99, and that was in an All Ireland semi final. And '99 Cork beat Kerry down in the Munster final in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and we were knocked out. There was no back door that time. And 2000 came along, and it was a huge year, and it was my first medal as such, and Christ, it was a huge year, because we had to play Armagh in a semi-final, and it took a replay to win it, and it took a replay to win the final. So it was massive. It was huge. And Seamus Moynihan was captain that year. It was a long year. I think it made it all the better, all the sweeter when we actually won it. But it was, I don't know, it was, I suppose, Kerry people are always tough, and Paddy touched on that when he was there. Like, Kerry people are always hard to please, and in All Ireland is beautiful. No, and that sounds actually arrogant and wrong in other counties, but that's the way it is. Like, and that's, you know, they don't mind if you actually don't do great in the league as long as championship is successful. It's all about championship in Kerry. And other teams start out at the start of the year with aims of doing well in the league or getting up from Division 3 to Division 2 or up to Division 1 or whatever it is. But in Kerry, the target every year is Ireland final and to win it. That's the bottom, and that was it. Every single year that I played, that was the target at the start of the year.
Would that have affected you at all, or was it just something that was like built into you and you wouldn't have passed any heat on that?
No, I think that's what the players expected as well, and that's what they wanted to aim for. They wanted to aim for that, like, and as the years, like, you can look back at the years, and some years you can say we just weren't good enough on the day. We weren't good enough in the year. Things were going wrong, and our tactics might have been wrong, like, but that didn't change what we thought we were good enough to win it every year. And lucky enough, now we got to, I don't know, we got to 8 or 9, the 9 or 10 finals we got to. So we proved that, and we were lucky enough that we had a good team at the time, and very, very lucky, the players that I played with. But we were lucky enough to I think the back door helped us a great deal because, you know, Cork were always capable of beating us.
Yeah.
And early in the year, it seemed, I don't know, a lot of the years it seemed that we didn't chuck into action or into gear, not by any plan. It wasn't a plan. We were trying to be our best every day we went out. But sometimes it'd be July, August before we kick in or before something would happen for us. And you know, Cork clipped our wings a good few times before we actually came back into it. So the back door was a help to us as well. But yeah, the players drove a lot of the stuff down in Kerry as well. And, you know, you'd still see it to this day, unless you have players that will drive it. You know, it's very hard to listen to management throughout the year and management for drive it. If you don't have the guys that will drive it at club level, or sorry, at inside the dressing room, at club or inter-county level, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, and you had comfortable enough wins against Mayo in 2004 and 2006, but you had games against Tyrone in them naughty years, and it was kind of like, who's the team of the naughties? It's always talked about Kerry or Tyrone. What was that made that team so difficult to beat?
I think it was their two things. I think their forward line, and I think their hunger. Geez, their hunger was vicious at times, like, and brilliant to watch. And people had it down as a different style of football, and that style of football would be absolutely class in the modern day. And they were just very, very, very tough at the back. If you look at it from a defensive point of view, their half forwards, like our backs coming out, we never got out easily. By the time. Which meant that by the time we actually got ball into the forwards, they were in place at the back. And then you had a forward line of McGuigan and Dooher and Canavan and Mulligan and Stephen O'Neill. And every one of them could put up their hand and live in anybody's top 10 in the last 50 years. Like, and that's the forward line you were hitting every time. And they were, and even their so-called, like Ryan Mellon was another player. And I marked him, and he kicked 2 points off me in the first few minutes, and I was there like thinking, you know, even their so-called lesser players were actually very good. They were solid at the back, Gormley and Jordan and Rice and McManaman. They were very good. They were an outstanding team. Now, we still believe that we could, like, we came back every year. That was the one thing, we kept on coming back. I know it might have been harder for them in the Ulster Championship, but they had the back door, and we had the back door, and we came in the back door, and we seem to use the back door better than they did. But you'll have to say that the 3 times that we played them in big games, they beat us and they had the upper hand on us. So look, who's team the decade? I don't even get into that. Like, you know, does it bother me that we didn't get over them? Yeah, because I thought we could have. I thought we should have a couple of times, but we didn't. And they just had this. They had this ability to lift themselves against Kerry on the big days, and that's what they did. Like,
and it would have been a disappointment for that team that you didn't maybe get a 3 in a row. I know you got 2 in 2006 and 7, but compared to the Dublin teams, now that team didn't get at least a 3 in a row.
Well, we could have, yeah. You could have, like, but you'd have to look at it as well and say 2007 or 2006 and 2007. Like, it was 1990 before our team before that had done it. Like, so you're talking, You're talking 16, 17 years before a team had done it. And like, yeah, we tried to, geez, 3 in a row would have been brilliant. 3 in a row would have been brilliant. Would you have won it the year after? I don't know. Look, I never really thought of 3 in a row. We never even, the back-to-back I thought was huge. And when you look at what Dublin have achieved now, the back-to-back seems tiny. But at the time, it was huge because Tyrone obviously had tried it. Armagh had tried it. Galway had tried it. Nobody had come up with it, you know. And Kerry had tried it themselves in 2000. They had tried it in 97, and it hadn't worked out for them either. And look, Dublin have achieved that. And with what's like, you know, you'd say they've had tight finals, but Christ, to achieve 5 in a row is huge, no matter what way you look at it. And I could argue this about it, I could argue that about it. They beat what's in front of them and they have 5 in a row. And mentally, more than anything, you'd admire them for what they've achieved.
Yeah, and then moving on to 2009, then you won Player of the Year that year, but it was kind of nearly like a roller coaster year. You obviously went through the back door, and Sligo had nearly taken you out in Tralee, I think, and Dublin were the raging hot favourites in the quarter final. You hammered them. Like, what was that whole year like?
That's probably the year that stands out most. Like, Paul Galvin actually was the Footballer of the Year in 2009, and I got the Texaco Footballer of the Year in 2009. I was Footballer of the Year in 2004 actually, but I thought 2009 was my best year. I thought I was flying it. I was, you know, you just know every single game I was on top of my game and things were going well. But we should have been gone. Jeez, I can't put a finger on it because we were working hard. It wasn't as if we were messing around. It wasn't as if we weren't putting in the same time. We were working around, but we should have been gone against Sligo. Jim and Murphy saved a penalty at the end of the game inside Tralee. Sligo came down and they should have beat us. They should have beaten us that night. And had they beaten us, we wouldn't have had any issues. And then we went up and we played Antrim. And we weren't mighty up there either. We weren't convincing as a team that we're going to go out and rattle Dublin. Dublin were a kind of a confident team at the time, and they had come through. And that performance, like, I won't say it came out of the blue. We always knew we were capable of doing it. We just couldn't figure out why it wasn't happening for us. But we didn't expect it to happen like it did, and we didn't expect Dublin maybe to lie down like they did. And so that was, and then to get the second chance at Cork again and above in an All-Ireland final. We played them in 2007, it was huge, but you don't want to be losing to Cork in an All-Ireland final, and that was a good Cork team. They won an All-Ireland in 2010. And anybody says, I don't actually like it because it's actually disrespecting us by disrespecting them, but they weren't good, that good a team, and they were a good team. But 2009 was a roller coaster. It was up and down, it was all sorts of way, and it was a long year. But it was nice to come out on top, and it was personally nice then to have played well through it all.
Yeah, obviously down Bechy in 2010, but 2011, that final against Dublin, it was near like a turning point, if you like, that they kicked on then and went on to win however many All-Irelands after that, and Kerry have only won one since. Would you agree with that that was a crucial game in the last decade?
Yeah, I think they were going to cross the line. They were going to cross the line. It was just a matter of when. They had too good a team not to. Their players were coming of age. Their players like the Flynns, the Brogans, the Connollys, they were actually coming on. I think Cluxon was key to the whole lot. But having said that, I think 2011 is a game we threw away. And you can say what you like. I think 2011 Kerry should have won that All-Ireland, and Kerry should have close out that game. I don't know, we were 4, 5, 6 points up, but I think when they got over the line that day, they actually believed they could do that in any game. They've done it so many times where they finished strong and drawn games and won games and whatnot. And what they did last year is the same mentality, the same culture inside the dressing room, that they're never beaten. And it's a brilliant thing to watch. But if you're on the receiving end of it, it's not great. And that kick by Cluxon, it was just, look, as a Dubs fan, you'd have to say what a way to do it, and but as a Kerry man in the day, and I don't care how much you have won, you still want to win it as bad on that day as you would the first day you were out. And I still to this day will argue with any Dub or anybody that was a game that we coughed up. We didn't close it out properly, and even the sloppy possession we gave away from McMenamin's goal around the middle of the field, that was bad. That was just like, you're coaching young teams and you're saying the execution of the passes and, to make sure of every hand pass. And that's why we do the drills of hand passing every night. And it was a simple hand pass that caught us in that game. And, I think we would have been not lucky to have won that game, but they were coming, like, they were either going to come in 12 or 13 anyway, and they did, like. And since 15 they've come every year, and it's phenomenal what they've done, really. And the players they have, like, and so yeah, I do think 11 was a massive match to watch for people and excitement and all that. But Christ, you look back and you say, what if? But they did it. They grabbed the game by the balls and they just went for it, and they got it, and we didn't have an answer for them.
Yeah, could you even say the current Kerry team is a bit like that Dublin team, that they nearly maybe just need that one All-Ireland just to kickstart maybe a few more?
I don't know. There's this attitude out there that Kerry, because they've won so many minors, that they have a right to win a senior or whatever, and it doesn't always work like that. They're knocking on the door, yeah, but they had a great chance last year, a brilliant opportunity last year to win an All-Ireland, and they struggled to get over the line. They struggled, like. And I think, like, there's probably 1, 2, 3 players shy yet of actually, I don't know, there's a little bit of confidence, that belief that Dublin have of getting over the line, that's probably got from winning big games down the years, that this Kerry team don't have yet, but could get, like. I mean, if you have a forward line with Clifford and with Sean Shea and with Paul Ganey, and you're going to have chances, like, you're going to have chances, and you're going to be thereabouts every year. But it's what's behind them that you really, really have to, like, you look at the Dubs, and Jesus Christ, from one to 10, they're a hard team. They're a tough team. They're tigerish. They can play it whatever way you want. They can mark you tight. They can come out hard with the ball. They can move it properly. Their skills are good. So they're very hard in that regard. And Mayo are the only team in the last 10, 15 years, I think, 10 years that actually 1 to 10 can match them, like, and consistently match them in that regard. But I think Kerry maybe not there yet. But look, they are growing, they are developing, they are young, and they'll always have a chance. But that pressure is on them, like, and I can tell you they'll start feeling the pressure as the years go on as well.
Yeah, we'll just move back to yourself for just the last part. 2013 then was your last year. Did you know going into that year that this is probably going to be your last year playing?
I didn't. 2013 was kind of, I suppose I thought about it a few times, like, and I was kind of, like, I never lived in Kerry. I never actually trained from Kerry. I lived in college in Limerick for 4 years, so you were travelling down to training to Killarney, and it's not a million miles away, but Cork was the same then, so it'd be about an hour and 20 up in the car and then an hour back after training. And I travelled for, like, people say, I went in 97, I was there 17 years, like, and people would say, oh, you weren't playing in 97. I was there, I was travelling, I was part of the squad, and I'd be proud about that, like. So I was 17 years travelling up and down, and I was saying to myself, like, I was getting cranky. That's what it was. Like, the game was getting more professional. The meetings were longer. I was getting cranky with all that. Like, I wasn't enjoying it as much. Like, and look, it's the way the game went. But for me, like, after I had a young family. I was driving up to Killarney. I was the body wasn't as supple as it used to be. Trying to get up to the level of fitness. I had an awful high expectation. Like, if I wasn't as fit as the fittest man on the panel, I used to get cranky, and I pushed myself to the limit. And then the extra team meetings and all that crack. And look, I that was me. Everybody else loved it, and there was no problem. Like, but I with a young family, I found it hard. And I was, as the year was going on, it wasn't as if I made a decision in my head, I'm going after this year. I didn't, but I was saying, like, we'll see what happens. And we weren't fancied in 13, because Donegal came in 12. Yeah. Dublin were there in 11. So Kerry weren't that fancied. And when we came up against the Dubs that year, I don't think we were given much of a chance, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, that we were going to be winning. But we had it. I was absolutely 110% sure we were going to win that game. And I was positive we were going to win that game. And the whole team were, and you could see it in the way we played. The belief was there, but then that finish again, like, and that was a cracker, like. But Dublin more so than 11 deserved to win that game, I think. And you know, they were on the road at that stage, and the hurt of 2012, you could see it in 2013 with them. But that was them in their stride then. You know, Kerry won 1-14. I put a lot of that down to Eamon Fitzmaurice and the way he tactically changed things up. But I think 13 was the kind of turning point in that a lot of the older lads of that Kerry team were beginning to go. Dara was long gone. Seamus Minor was obviously gone in 2007 or 8, I think. But you had Diarmaid Murphy, you had Mike McCarthy was going away, Tom Sullivan was leaving. You know, you had a lot of the core group of that team was kind of breaking up, and that team was probably in transition. So to win 14 was a huge achievement for them, I think. Huge achievement, because nobody saw that coming, certainly not in Kerry. I had gone, so fellas were telling me, geez, you should have stayed on and got another one. And I said, fuck it, I couldn't see Kerry winning it. And if you told me at the start of the year, geez, Kerry would have won that, do you know what, I might have stayed on, and I could have, because I went on playing club, and but it was inter-county. Like, there is some step up from inter-county, from club to inter-county, and people need to realise that the club has come up in terms of the preparation, in terms of the fitness levels and everything. But county is still on another level, like, and it always will be.
Yeah, it was probably maybe that professional aspect, as you said there, maybe 10 years earlier, if the trainings were the same, you might have stayed on for another year or two, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, really. I think I was 35 at that stage, like, and you don't see too many 35-year-olds hanging on now. And back then, even 35 wasn't a number that a lot of people were staying on to. And the 13 final, like, I look back at it, and I saw it there during the lockdown. They had it on somewhere it was on, and you know, I was knocking Connolly the same day, and Connolly played well, like, but I didn't play poorly the same day. I was going well enough the same day as well, like. So could I have pushed the body the following year? Yeah. Do I regret it? I probably do, saying that I could have gone for another year, like, but I hadn't. Look, geez, I got so much out of it, like, and I can't have any complaints, and I wouldn't. No, I don't regret one bit retiring in 13. But you'd often think, could you have done this? Could you have gone? Yeah, because I played club up until I took a year out, and then I went playing with Nemo. So I took a year out in 14, and 15, 16, and 17. I played with Nemo, and I'd say more than I got away with it. Like, that's what I look at it like. I got away with playing club football that time, and I enjoyed it. She's a great crack with the Nemo lads, and I won 2 counties down there, and that was huge. And my own club, I enjoyed it for years, and maybe regret. I didn't realise that I was going to get 3 years out of it at club level again. Like, I didn't realise that I had the hunger for it. And looking back, probably, you know, had I known I would have gone that long, I probably would have gone home. But again, geez, my back was in bits towards the end of my career. Before the 13th final, I went to the hospital for 4 or 5 days before the actual match. Got an epidural into my back. But I didn't think, like, club football in Kerry means you'd leave Cork, you could be going up to North Kerry. 3-hour drive, 2.5 hours drive. It was 2.5 back to my own club. You'd have home games there. So look, Jesus, I don't know would I been able to give him the commitment. And if I am not able to give a commitment 100%, I don't like doing things like I don't like doing things half-arse. And I would have been doing it half-arse with the club at home. Whereas Nemo was the most relaxed club atmosphere I've ever seen. Like, they didn't mind if I didn't train, whereas I did. Like, I was more pushing myself than they were pushing me. Like, but that's the way they're. You know, they trust you, like, to say, look, take a break there if you need it. You don't have to train 3 times a week, train twice a week or whatever. But I trained as hard as I could, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so move on to sort of the current state of football. Like, where do you think the game is at? Is it in a positive way at the moment? Maybe the last year or two that we're coming out of that sort of blanket defence era a tiny bit?
Yeah, I remember at the time saying, like, that football will evolve, and the Dubs found a way to beat all defensive teams, and eventually weaker teams were able to do it as well. So, and it's no disrespect to Cavan or to Fermanagh, but Fermanagh got to an Ulster final playing this type of football and stood to them. And, you know, it's hard to blame them, because if they went out and played open football, they were going to get hockeyed Carlo did the same, and you'd have to admire them. Look, they're allowed to play whatever way they want to play, so they're entitled to play defensive football if they want to play defensive football. If they think that's going to get them more achievement. Now, as an enjoyment spectator, it's not good, like, because it's awful to watch, right? But Carlo, geez, those players had some couple of years. Fermanagh had some couple of years. But the key thing was Dublin showed other teams how to beat the likes of Fermanagh and how to be patient and how to work the ball and how to hold on to the ball and how to find holes and to have the support runners. And I think that was, I remember saying at the time, everybody saying change rules. And when you saw it and you're saying, geez, if this is going to continue, yeah, change rules. But then, like, let it flush itself out, like. And it is. And I think the football at the moment, Dara, I think the football right now is as good as I've seen it. And I everywhere, along all 4 leagues.
Yeah.
And every team have actually come to the conclusion, yes, you have to be solid at the back. But if you can't attack, if you don't have your forward set up in a certain way, you're not going to outscore a team. You might do it twice, 3 times out of 5, but you won't win big. And teams want to win big, and players want to achieve what they can achieve. And I suppose there's more enjoyment for them as well. And I wouldn't say it at the time, but definitely there's more enjoyment for them as well, playing a certain type of football. So I enjoy it. Because the result of that is you can get a game where you're not expecting. Kildare can go to Wexford, or Kildare can go up to Louth, and you can get a cracker of a game. Or Limerick can go up to Clare and a cracker of a game again, like. And at this stage, we want to watch good football. And I think you have a lot more of that stuff. The defensive stuff, I think, look, and people say, oh, Dublin can be as defensive as anybody. Look, and they take a screenshot and there's 15 bodies behind the ball. Rewind that screenshot 40 seconds. There wasn't 30 or 15 men behind the ball. They weren't set up that way. Dublin will play a sweeper if an opposing forward goes up the other side of the field. If you play 6 forwards, Dublin will mark you with 6 defenders, and they won't have a sweeper. So I actually love watching football the way it's been played now.
Yeah, but would it be fair to say maybe that the top 5 or 6, the gap to everyone else is huge? I know even from being from Roscommon, we won a Connacht, but you go to the Super 8 and you just get a reality check every year that the gap is just still so big. Yeah,
I'd agree totally. I think Dublin are on a level, obviously, 5 in a row are on a level of their own. And I think you have the likes of Kerry, you have Donegal, you have maybe Galway, Tyrone. I think Armagh are an up-and-coming team, but they're on a level below. I think, you see, that's where, right, you look at the championships now, Dara, Connacht and Ulster are competitive, right? But I can't see the winner coming out of Ulster or Connacht at all. Right? But I'd watch the Connacht Championship and the Ulster Championship before I watch the freaking Leinster Championship, like. Even though I know the winners are coming from there. So how would you, like, it'd be great if we had 4 provinces like that. But I'm sick of watching the Munster Championship, and I'm sick of watching the Munster Championship because I'm hoping Cork will put it out, rattle Kerry, but there's no consistency down. I'm sick of watching the Leinster Championship because it's a farce. So therefore, based on that alone, like, I want a different structure to the championship. And people will say, what about Connacht and Ulster? Look, they're brilliant. They are brilliant, but it's an All Ireland. And you have 12 counties in Leinster, and you have 6 counties in Munster, 18. That's 18 counties. We're fucking looking at each other during the summer saying that peak weather, like, and it's a farce, really, like. And that's why and look, Roscommon winning, Jesus, it was brilliant, winning the Connacht, especially with Mayo, everybody looking at Mayo and Galway, and Roscommon deservedly win it, like. And you say, yeah, that's an argument for look at the Connacht news there now, like. But they're still on a level below, and when Roscommon go up to the freaking top tiers, they can be out of it before the last game of the Super 8s. I think the structure of the championship, like, I can be interested now to see what they do with the championship this year. I'd love to see an all 31 county open draw. I'd love it. Give one county a bye and just throw it in. But they won't do it. And when I tell you why they won't do it, because it's a threat to the provincials. And that's my guess. I don't know what they're going to come up with. I don't know, is there going to be a back door? But imagine if you had Dublin having gone up to Donegal, to Ballybofey for a first round, knowing that knockout. Like, Jesus Christ, Kerry having to go up to Armagh, Kerry having to go to Tyrone, Kerry having to go to Roscommon. Jesus Christ, Dara, they'd nearly Roscommon would fancy their chances on a one-off above there.
You never know. Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Yeah, but I mean, look. I do agree that. Look, you can't just give an inter-county team one game in championship. I agree that, but look, under circumstances of this year and the time scale that you have to work with, look, I don't think anybody would be against it. Like, it would probably not compare to other All-Irelands in terms of the journey you were on. But I think for the pure of the circumstances of 7, 8 weeks, whatever you have to run it off, that. And look, the GA might surprise us all. I might come out with a plan that says, look, and you say, whoa, that's actually better than what I would have thought up there now, and it is fair enough that people do get their second chance. So, look, we'll see. What I imagine is that it'll be knockout and it'll be provincial knockout, and that's the way they'll go. And they'll go semi-final, final, the way it used to be. And we'll see, though. I'm looking forward to it. At least we'll have something to talk about. We'll have a bit of work going about that, because the old money thing is fellas say, we're saying we like it, but sure, the bottom line is we're putting it to our work in a way. So delighted to be back on that level as well.
Yeah, obviously they were going to bring in the tier 2 this year, but like probably the concept is right, but I thought maybe even the structure of it isn't great. It was nearly like a lazy way that if you lose your first round again, you're out. Like a Leitrim, for instance, they could be out the first week of June or something.
Yeah, you see, and it's no disrespect to weaker counties, but look, you go into championship to win, right? And if you lose, Christ, the attitude can't be, I don't want to go into this competition. I don't want to go into, because it's a big competition and it's a loser's competition. Christ almighty, like, I don't know, like, as a player, I'd say, no. Like, right, Leitrim are inside in Division 4, and they play a Division 4 team. They beat a Division 4 team at the celebration, and the goal to get to the promotion, to get to Division 3 is there constantly, like, and you're playing teams, and there's no problem there. But there is a problem if you have to go into a back door. Look, I'm not saying the backdoor system that they have now is perfect, but you can't, like, there's no point in Leitrim. Like, Monaghan went down to Waterford in the back door a few years ago, and like, what good is that to Waterford footballers? And it doesn't happen all the time. There can be some, and everybody will throw me games and say, but what about this? What about the run that Fermanagh went on here? And what about the run Wicklow went on there? And they had 4 or 5 games. And you ask those players, I'd have it no other way. Ask the Waterford players, would they have it no other way when Monaghan went down there? Ask a lot of the lads that were going towards the end of their careers down there. Will you go again next year? Who would my arse go again next year for that crack? Like, Jesus Christ, if I was, and it's very easy for me to be saying it maybe from looking at it from you're all right, you're a player with Kerry, and I get that. But at the same time, whatever competition is there, you're not going to have a competition that 32 counties are going to be happy with throughout the season, and that they're going to be competitive for everyone. And it doesn't happen in any other sport. It doesn't happen in our leagues. So why should it happen in our championship? And it's not disrespecting other counties. That's not my point. So that'd be my theory on it.
Yeah, even like the Division 3 and 4 teams, a lot of them even said that their championship is the National League, that they're playing teams of a similar level, and it's their only chance of winning something. Yeah,
it is. And like, look, there are championship games that throw up like huge performances. Kildare beat Mayo at home, and you wouldn't swap it for the world.
Yeah.
There's big coups like Tipperary went on a run a few years ago, and they wouldn't swap that for the world. Like, they wouldn't. But for every Tipperary, there's 5 or 6 other counties that don't. And look, how would you promote football in that county? Is promoting football in a county like Wicklow all about getting hammered by Galway? I don't think it is. And and I could sit down with a fella and I could understand their argument, but at the same time, I can't think you can run a championship fairly, everybody happy.
Yeah, just a brief word on the few rule changes they brought in. Obviously, the advance mark is probably the main big one that people are nearly against. Would you be in favour of that?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think it, look, it's not having a huge effect anyway. It's not, it doesn't happen that often, but for God's sake, giving a free to somebody for catching a ball. It's ridiculous. Why was that mark brought in? That mark was brought in because of the defensive stuff. And we spoke 10 minutes ago about how open the football is kind of gone now compared to what it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only reason that mark was brought in. Like, it's stupid. It's I get actually cranky when I talk about it. And it isn't having a huge impact on the game, Dara, it isn't. But still, okay, like, there will come a game or two that it'll be decided on soft bloody frees given for catching a ball from 20 yards. Like, it's ridiculous. The one with I agree with the sin bin, and I agree with the kick out. I think it'll give teams that little bit of a chance. It'll force teams to go a bit longer and give us more to see it. But it's great to watch the likes of Niall Morgan and Beggan and Cluxton and what's your man's name in Donegal? He's class cricketer. Patton. Like, to see those fellas in action, like, no matter what rule, like, the goalie has changed so much. So, look, I'm not a fan of the mark, but in fairness, I thought it would have I thought it would have more of an effect in the game. It's not really having a huge effect in the game, but at the same time, there's absolutely totally against it.
And then to finish up, I suppose, obviously Dublin have done the 5 in a row. How many more do you think they can do, or do you think there is a team that could stop them in this year if it is an open knockout?
I think the world is their oyster at the moment. I don't know, is there any team to, like, look, the championship, the way it's structured this year mightn't suit them the way it can be a bit of pressure on Desi Farrell coming in. You might be a chance to actually go at them, but look, Dublin, if they show up, I think are the top team in the country still. And that's the bottom line. And I think it'll be very hard to beat Dublin. It's 6-0 possibility, of course it is, yeah. Yeah, right now you'd have to say so. Like, they're just, depends what way they come out of the traps. We'll all be looking at it carefully. But you won't be able to judge on Leinster. You won't be able to judge too much on Leinster at all. You know? You'll be hopeful that Meath and Kildare maybe, that they throw up something, but nobody's expecting anything major there,
Yeah, well, that's it. And yeah, it's looking good. We'll have a bit of action anyways later in the summer. But thanks very much, Tomás, for coming on.
No bother, Dara. No bother, bye. I actually have a Zoom class now as well.